What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is Monday, July 28th. My name is Ewan, and on today's episode, I'm going to get into my Hungarian Grand Prix team selection preview slash whatever you want to call it episode. Double header this week, so gonna kind of keep everything nice and snappy. I had my race review episode of the Belgian Grand Prix last night, so you can check that out. I'll make sure to put a sticker up there in the top right-hand corner. And don't forget to take my F1 Fantasy Summer Break survey for the first 14 races of the season. There's a link in the description below. There'll be a QR code throughout the episode, so make sure you try and take that survey. It's about 7 questions just asking your opinion about the first half of the F1 Fantasy season, almost at 200 responses, so hoping to eclipse that. And that will end at the end of the Hungarian Grand Prix after my race review episode next Sunday. And don't forget, if you are enjoying what you're seeing in the F1 Fantasy Pole Position Garage, make sure to drop a like in the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Trying to get to 3,500 subscribers by the summer break. I think I'm about 40 away at time of recording. So if you're watching this video and you are not subscribed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. But let's just get right into it with the Hungarian Grand Prix preview. All right, here we are, the Hungaroring, 14 corners, 70 laps, 2 DRS zones, but do we use them that much? I'm not so sure. Just that one down the back straight in the home stretch. 15th for overtakes over the last 3 seasons, which I thought was a little bit surprising. I thought it'd be less than that, and only 3 DNFs in the last 3 seasons as well. So not too shabby for the Hungaroring, known as Monaco without walls. Will be very popular for Limitless managers this weekend if the top 5 and the best 2 constructors can kind of sort it out. Looks like it's going to be kind of hot with a little bit of rain roaming around. And in 2024, Piastri, Norris, and Hamilton made up the podium. If you don't remember what happened in that race, Norris kind of like stormed the race and he kind of had to give the position back to Piastri with about 3 or 4 laps remaining. But there was a whole debacle about whether he should give it back if McLaren is not prioritizing him in the championship end. Yeah, now look at it. Piastri is up to, what, a 17-point advantage in the F1 Drivers' Championship. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend in Budapest. Going over to the tires here, Pirelli preview. Last year it was the C3, the C4, the C5, and this year it's the same. C3, C4, C5, not going to the C6 for this race. So kind of same old, pretty good for us to kind of use some historical data, see how teams have done here in the past, and we'll kind of see if there's any different strategies going along in the like F1 paddock. But yeah, it could be same old, which is not always the bad thing because we can use that to our advantage in F1 Fantasy. Looking ahead to the weather in Budapest here on Friday and Saturday, it's going to be pretty sunny, pretty hot with no really chance of rain. So we should get some representative running on Friday and Saturday along with a dry quali. But then on Sunday, 43% chance of precipitation. It's a little bit cooler, mostly cloudy as well. And throughout the weekend, it's actually going to be kind of gusty. I think I saw on Saturday, it was up to like 35-kilometer-per-hour gusts. So we'll have to watch out for that in qualifying and see if anyone gets caught out. But Sunday could be some rain. So if you were tagging along for the Belgian Grand Prix, you know that I played my no negative chip and I saved a whole 5 points. 5 points, I think. Yeah, so not a great use of the chip there, but it was good process, bad results. Just FIA was being a little bit scared, but still went up 3.3 million in budget, still went up about 500 places in the overall ranking. So not too shabby. But yeah, we could be in for another wet race in Budapest this weekend. Should limit the overtake. So I would think that would actually favor Limitless managers if they can nail the top 5, which I'm assuming will be somewhere between like triple McLaren, triple Ferrari, and Max. Maybe Russell gets his way in there depending on how it looks, but he seemed pretty down on Mercedes after the race. He said maximum result, but like step back in performance. And as you can see right above me here, that's the QR code to take the F1 Fantasy Summer Break survey. Like I said, trying to get above 200 responses. We're almost there as well. So if you haven't taken it yet, make sure to chime in with your opinion on the first half of the F1 Fantasy season. All right, this is about the time where teams are going to be able to go to these 4A lineups. And I have 4 teams on the screen here, called it switching lanes because we're kind of going from are like budget building squads to kind of points orientated heavy squads. So I've got 4 lineups here. I've got a 4A heavy, a 4A regular, a 4A light, and then just my team in general. These are all thanks to F1 Fantasy Tools, so shout out to them as always. So I've got budget required, predicted Hungary Grand Prix points, and predicted Hungary Grand Prix price rise for each of these teams. 4A heavy lineup is McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Russell, and BOTB, which is bottom of the barrel, which is Bortoleto, Lawson, and Colapinto, just so everyone knows going forward. That's 126 million. If you have that squad, you're expected to score, based on the weighted average from F1 Fantasy Tools, there's no sims or anything like that, 223.2 points and go up 0.6 million. So some okay points, but not a lot of budget rising once you get to that squad. But that is kind of how it's going to be once you get to this 4A heavy lineup. And that is where I would like to be as soon as possible. I have 124 million, so I need to catch up a little bit to that squad. 4A regular is what a lot of us have been shooting for a while now. McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri, Russell, bottom of the barrel as well. So this difference here is instead of Ferrari, you've got Mercedes. That's 121.4 million. 207 points and going up 0.6 million in Hungary as well. So about 16 less points, but still kind of going up the same amount in budget. For a light, I've been talking about this for a while, and it's McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Antonelli, and bottom of the barrel. I wouldn't mind getting to this squad if I could keep my budget risers like my Hulkenbergs, my Behrmans, my Stroll. I don't have enough money for that. But this 4A light lineup has 207.9 million, but is only expected to rise 0.1 million in budget. So if you're trying to catch up to this 4A heavy lineup, the 4A regular and the 4A light are not really going to get it done for you in budget building, because bottom of the barrel means that those two assets, Lawson and Colapinto, they're not going to fall any. Bortoleto can only fall 0.2 now because he's 4.7 million. And McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Russell should all go up from 0.1 to 0.3 kind of thing. So you're not rising up. But 4A regular and 4A light are not going to catch up either for right now, because Antonelli is set to fall again. But once he gets that Silverstone DNF off, he should begin to rise again if he can get back into the performance of the Mercedes. He'll be cheap enough that just a regular weekend should see him like snap up a couple of easy 0.6 million rises. So the 4A light is probably not for this weekend, not for anyone trying to play catch up, but I just want to kind of reiterate that. I've kind of been on that for a couple of weeks now, trying to say that that is going to be a good alternative coming out of the summer break. And then my team is the last team on the grid here. McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Hulkenberg, Behrman, Stroll, Alonso. That's the squad I had in Belgium. Scored me 281 points, went up 3.3 in million, so that's nice. That's going to be 123.1 million right now, 234.9 predicted points in Hungary, and 2.1 million rise in budget. So really not that bad. Going to have about 11 more points than that 4A heavy lineup because I'm avoiding the bottom of the barrel. And it goes up another 1.5 million. So it won't be enough for me to catch that 4A heavy lineup if I just stuck with that squad, which I'm not planning to do. I have 3 free transfers. If you don't have time, you can skip ahead to the timestamps in the description below will let you know when I get to my team selection. So check that out for sure. But I am tempted to just kind of avoid these 4A lineups again for one more week, continue to build budget. Because if I'm being honest, with the way that Mercedes is looking and the way that Russell is looking, well, not Russell really, but especially Mercedes, I would like to just go straight from what my team is right now, McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Hulkenberg, Behrman, Stroll, Alonso, straight up to that 4A heavy lineup, which is McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Russell, bottom of the barrel. That's my ideal scenario where I can still build budget, still score a little bit of points, and then just completely jump up into that tier. Eventually as well, I'd love to gain enough budget to get onto a Ferrari driver, have McLaren, Ferrari, double McLaren, double Ferrari here as well. I will eventually need to play my extra DRS chip at the end of the season in Austin or in Qatar. We'll see how that goes, but I'd love to just jump straight into that 4A heavy lineup and then potentially sneak on to a Ferrari driver instead of George Russell for like the last 7 or 8 races of the season. I think that could be a big advantage in F1 Fantasy. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, or on the podcast side. You can hit me up at F1 Fantasy Ewan on X. Going over to the points forecast has been a pretty popular segment, so I'm going to keep doing it. But I will put my hands up here and say this may be the loosest of goosiest maths I have ever done, because as of recording, Pat F1 hasn't updated their site. No shade at all to Pat. Life gets in the way. It's very busy right now. It's summer holidays for most of Europe, America, all that stuff. So shout out to Pat for the excellent website. Unfortunately, I could not lean 100% on him to get these Dutch Grand Prix price rise points. So I myself have attempted to do this. And I apologize in advance for the loosest of goosey math. I can guarantee you that the Hungarian Grand Prix price rise points are correct, because I got those straight off of F1 Fantasy Tools. But the Dutch Grand Prix price rise points might need a little bit of tweaking when we get a little bit closer to it. So over here on the screen, I've got Hülkenberg, Stroll, Behrman, Albon, Alonso, and Ocon taking off Gasly after his negative 16 points in Belgium. And I've got the average points per race for the last 3, the Hungarian Grand Prix price rise points, and the Dutch Grand Prix price rise points. Albon's for the average points per race is the last 2 races. I just got rid of his Silverstone DNF, so he's at 13. So Hülkenberg here, still set and forget for Hungary, negative 27 for a good price rise, negative 19 for a great price rise. If he scores 24 points again, negative 22 and 14 points for a great price rise in the Netherlands after the summer break. Lance Stroll here averaging 13.3 points per race over the last 3 weekends, has negative 6 and negative 2, or negative 2 for a great price rise, negative 6 for a good price rise in Hungary, and then it will be 1 point for a good price rise, 9 points for a great price rise if he continues at his average. Then Behrman here is 1 and 9 for Hungary, and if he scores his 11.7 points, he'll be 1 and 9 again for the Netherlands Grand Prix. Like I said, this is the loosest of goosey math. I'm trying my best here. It was about 5:30 on Monday morning after I had streamed until about 8:30 last night. So apologies in advance for this. I did try my best. I will clean this up for Wednesday and for Friday's final thoughts if I can get there. Albon here, 13 points over the last 2 races, needs 3 points for a good price rise and 13 points for a great price rise in Hungary. That's a little bit of a stretch. And if he gets that 13 points, he'll need 6 and 17 in the Netherlands for a good and a great price rise. Alonso, 7.7 points per race over the last 3, 8 points for a good price rise, 14 points for a great price rise in Hungary. With the way that Aston Martin is looking, I don't love it, but Alonso does love Hungary. So we'll see how that goes. See if Aston Martin can kind of pick up some slack, because it was not there in Belgium. They kind of were, Alonso and Stroll were just passing each other at the back of the field there for a while. But we'll see. Alonso might have to go, and then it would be 4 and 9 in the Netherlands if you could get to that 7.7 or get to 14 points. And then Ocon, 9 points per race over the last 3 races, 18 points for a great price rise, 26 points for a good, or 26 points for a great price rise, 18 points for a great price rise. If he got to the great price rise, you'd need 5 or 13 for a great price rise in the Netherlands. Even as I'm saying this, the loosey-goosiness is going a little bit over my head. So apologies in advance, but the Hungarian Grand Prix price rise points are 100% accurate. I got those off of F1 Fantasy Tools. The Dutch Grand Prix, I'm pretty sure is accurate, but please correct me if I am wrong in the comments below, and I apologize in advance. But I have given you fair warning here. But this is the points forecast. This is kind of what I'm going off of. So let's go check out some team selection. One thing I know for sure is that the F1 Fantasy Pole Position Squad has been doing a bang-up job of budget building over the last couple of races. I think 6.6 million in budget over the last 2 races here, as I try to center my camera, noticing that I'm a little bit askew here. And Piastri, Alonso, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Behrman, McLaren, Ferrari all rose the max, so that was fantastic. Not sad about that at all. I mean, no negative, whatever. So 3 free transfers for Hungary. Going over to the budget builder, I said this last night on X after the finalized points came out. Things are going to get a little bit tricky here. I understand that there were some people that were like, just stick with the same squad. Like, that's easy. And that is an option here. That would be burning 2 free transfers now. That would be absurd. But Alonso is okay in Hungary historically. I'll have an article about that on F1 or rotoballer.com. So make sure to check those out. I put out 2 articles every week on Rotoballer. And Piastri's not going anywhere. Hulkenberg's not going anywhere. I trust Behrman. Stroll is still terrifying, but 2 points for a great price rise is too much to pass up. So Hulkenberg, Stroll, Piastri, Hulkenberg are probably all staying in my team, which really just leaves me with like that one move of Alonso. Alonso to Albon is tempting because Albon does seem to be picking it up. We'll see what Williams says coming into Hungary. Kind of twisty track. We'll see how that all pans out, kind of thing. But just want to show you that I can get to that for a regular lineup. Now I gotta I might have to take a -10 to get there. There was a way that I did this earlier this morning, but it was like, so Colapinto, Lawson, and then I'd have to bring in, I'd keep Alonso. So I'd make 4 transfers to get to this 4A lineup, which I don't love. Remember going back to that slide that I showed earlier, it wasn't the best thing. So while I can get to this, I think I'm going to hold off here. So I don't love that whole construction. So I think I'm going to avoid a 4A lineup for now. And that does limit me a little bit. I'd have to see something absurd from Mercedes. Like, we've had George and Lewis have taken pole here the last couple of years, I believe. So Mercedes can surprise at the Hungaroring. But I'm not super thrilled by going with them. So I'd keep Nico. I'd keep Ollie, Lance, and then Fernando would stick in here right now. And it's really going to come down to practice if I see anything different. But Alonso to one of these guys is really my only move I'm thinking of, because Hulkenberg, Behrman, and Stroll are really good budget building options. I really think that it's still in my best interest for my team to continue building budget as I try to just jump straight up to that 4A heavy lineup. Like, if I go here, how short am I going to be? I can show this right now. So I will need a few million more. So Colapinto, Lawson. So Bortoletto is going to be 4.5. So I need to go up 1.8 million. That was maybe some more loosey-goosey math. But the nice thing about this will be once you get to this Piastri, Russell, McLaren, Ferrari build, you can just start burning and churning these like bottom of the barrel guys. So like Gasly's going to fall for 2 more weeks. Hadjar's probably going to fall at least 1 more week. So he'll be 5.1 million. Isaac Hadjar, who has had a couple of rough races, but was really phenomenal to begin the year. Like the first 11, 12 races of the season, he was like such a good asset, and I would be happy to have him back in my team, especially at 5.1 million. Carlos Sainz is going to keep falling. Pierre Gasly is going to keep falling. So it's just about burning and churning kind of thing. And even if we go to Antonelli here with the 4A light lineup that I was talking about earlier, like if we bring in Lawson, that leaves me with 13 million. So that's Behrman and Bortoletto. I really don't mind this lineup either. I don't think it's going to score the most points. I'll probably like lose some budget, so that doesn't help me get to the 4A heavy lineup that I desire so much. But right now, this is maybe my second favorite lineup other than just sticking with my regular team that I had to begin the week. Alonso to Albon is tempting because I think Albon probably has a higher point ceiling, but that will probably come down to practice, see how the Aston Martin responds, see how Williams does at the Hungaroring. So we'll need to kind of check that out. Budget building wise, in the A tier bracket, I see no reason to get off Piastri. Hamilton had a big week. He's at 22 points for a good price rise. Norris, if you're on him, might only go up 0.1. And then Verstappen, Russell, Leclerc could all struggle to rise this week. For the constructors, I guess the other thing about Mercedes as a constructor is 35 points for 0.3 isn't always guaranteed when it comes to the silver arrows. So that's another reason maybe you want to wait off of them to get this 7 points from Silverstone to fall off their average before you go there. But yeah, for right now, as of 7:59 a.m. Germany time, it's not looking all that exciting in my team selection. But let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments below. Hit me up on X at F1FantasyEwan. And yeah, we can discuss it throughout the week. I'll have a Q&A stream this Wednesday and then a final thoughts video before a deadline live stream on Saturday. But that'll do it for this week's team selection preview episode. Hopefully you guys picked up some stuff that you enjoyed. And don't forget, if you are enjoying what you are seeing in the F1 Fantasy Pole Position Garage, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the podcast. Like I said, almost at 3,500 subscribers for the season, which is phenomenal. Thank you once again to everyone that has come out and supported the YouTube channel and the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast side, 5-star rating is always helpful as well. But like I said, Q&A stream on Wednesday where we'll do some fun stuff. We'll update some leagues. Someone was requesting that in the race review episode last night. That's a great idea. We'll do some polls. We'll do some league updates. We'll have some lifestyle questions, all that fun stuff, along with a final thoughts video, which will be like, I'm going to start doing more of those, like a 10-minute kind of off the cuff after free practice 1, free practice 2, just like what my thoughts are seeing there. And then a deadline stream on Saturday, along with a cool down review episode. So there's going to be lots of me on the YouTube channel. So if this is the first week that you're subscribing to F1 Fantasy Pole Position, you will get your bang for your buck, especially considering that it's all free. But hopefully you guys had a good Belgian Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys are ready for the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend. And once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.